I realized I had a lot of new poems on my phone that I haven't read yet. But, anyway, I don't know if I talked too much about this other story that I'm writing. It's about this girl that commits suicide and she becomes a ghost. And, so the story is kind of based off of me, in a way, using my personal experiences with, stuff. Like wondering how it is when you die, or kind of sort of wanting to die, sort of. But anyway, so that one, I'm writing it for teenagers to read, so hopefully they like it. And it's kind of based off real life experiences and stuff like that, or my experiences that are kind of exaggerated a little bit, sort of, somewhat. But so she becomes a ghost and she's really mad that she didn't go to somewhere better. She didn't want to go to heaven or hell. She just wanted, she wanted to go to a different world that is better than Earth, but not Earth. So she's a ghost. And so I really feel like I should read some of my chapter notes so that you guys can understand. I guess I could do that. I have 2 poems that I wrote for her. And but I'll just read my chapter notes that I wrote down for each chapter, because I like to do that, because my OCD. So anyway, this is chapter 1 notes, which I kind of changed it a little bit. Alright. Oh yeah, her name's Alexa, by the way. So that's the girl's name. Okay. Alright. Alexa's problems start out when she's 16. She has 2 younger siblings to take care of. Her mother is too depressed to be a mom, but Alexa too suffers with depression, but also self-harm, which no one knows about. After she finds her old diary, when she's 12, but she doesn't find her old diary. I think I just leave it out. But anyway. After she finds her old diary, she starts a new one about how her life has been since the last time she wrote. The way she writes her entries is in poetic form. She likes to write poetry, so she wanted her journal to reflect that. She explains about her siblings, why her dad left, and how her mom is depressed, and she now has to take on responsibilities of parenting her siblings. So basically, I'm not going to have her find her diary that she wrote when she was 12. I just don't feel like it. So the first poem that I wrote kind of starts off as if she did find her diary, but no. And her little brother has autism. He's 8 years old, and her younger sister is, I think I made her 12 or 13. One or the other. But her sister's fine. She doesn't have any, she's not special needs or anything like that. After I read chapter 2 notes, I'll turn this off and start another one. I mean, if you guys feel like listening, but it just kind of explains what I'm doing, so you guys aren't confused, because I can't really explain my story any better. So hopefully my notes can. Alright, anyway. For chapter 2, leading up from her depression, she writes in her diary about how happy she thinks she'd be if she commits suicide. But she doesn't do it yet. She's scared if it's unsuccessful and that she actually doesn't die. Instead, she cuts herself and always hides it from people. Her mom and peers at school wonder why she's always wearing long-sleeve shirts or wristbands on a daily basis. A couple of times, she's forgotten her wristband at home, and when she'll pull her sleeves up, people can see her cut marks. She makes excuses as to what happened, until no one starts to believe her stories. She starts to get teased about herself being a cutter. She goes to a crisis unit in a hospital for 2 weeks, makes a couple of friends, barely talks in groups, and leaves hating the world for barging in on her private life of how she copes with her problems. One of her friends is concerned and talks to the school nurse about her. She calls her down as well as her mother, and that's how she gets caught. So pretty much everything that's in chapter 2 is pretty much what happened with me, basically. So, I mean, I didn't have a diary, though, and I didn't write about how happy I'd be if I died. I only wrote a suicide note, and my mother caught it, or my mother read it, and that started a lot of shit. But, that's whatever. So, my friend, when I was cutting, my friend did tell the school nurse, and I was very pissed off at her, and I kind of hated her for it. But it was, I know she did it because she cared and she was worried, you know, I know that. But it's like, you know, it's just my personal thing that I like to do. It's kind of like a crackhead or a heroin addict or a pothead, you know, they want to be left alone and do what they do that makes them happy. And, you know, self-harm was that for me, if that makes sense. So, fuck, this is like really getting personal. It's like really, really personal. So basically the story is somewhat true, and, you know, again, Alexa is based off of me and how I am, or how I used to be, how I felt, how I still feel, and my addictions. And so, you know, it's just weird. Alright, so I'm gonna read chapter 3, or chapter 3 notes.